Hey everyone, it's Kerry, and I am on the road again. I am heading to Monroe, Louisiana. Going to speak to about 40 to 50 bankers tomorrow, again about the new CDD rule. I spoke to probably 60 today, and it was a really good group, very engaged, really want to get things right. There's a lot of confusion among community bankers around how do I verify information on a beneficial owner? One of the things that was just truly just striking to me was that one other person has heard of conversations about beneficial ownership verification, or the what's referred to as UBO, ultimate beneficial owner. Um, it's at the heart of the new CDD rule. I am perplexed as to how other groups might not be talking about this. I've also heard conflicting information about the amount of information that you need to obtain, and that whether or not a signature verifying the accuracy of the statement from a customer is sufficient. Um, Listen, that information relying on your customer, and just because they signed a piece of paper, if there is money laundering or terrorist financing that is going on in your bank, that will not save you. Because they told me so will not save you, because at the heart of the new CD rule is really a desire for banks to separate KYC into four distinct categories: CIP, CDD, and EDD. In fact, one of the questions that we had during the presentation, we talked about information gaining for verifying information from a Secretary of State, or obtaining articles of incorporation, minutes, share registers. And she said, well, how's that different from what we do with CIP anyway? In this talk, I actually missed the opportunity to respond correctly because it took me a second for the way she said it to register. What in her statement, what she concluded was that she's basically over analyzing every customer and probably not providing enough depth of research for a few specific that would fall into enhanced due diligence. So it's very critical to perform that risk assessment to truly understand who's high risk and who's medium risk and who's low risk. And for those that are low risk, CIP, which is an ID, a social security number, basic information, that's your CIP. CDD gets into more information about the business, about the types of transactions that they are going to conduct. Only when you get into enhanced due diligence are you digging into share registers, and you were looking into verification. I would say you're going beyond verification. You're at validation now. You're looking into Secretary of State. You're trying to prove out the organization that the person has claimed in the ownership structure, to validate that truly exists through the organizational documents that have been established, or through a share registers and minutes. So a couple of other things. One of the fascinating things, I know many banks that are located in smaller communities, they often say, this is just it's not what we do. It's not a concern of ours. It's not a stress level of ours. We just don't have that type of customer. One customer, and in a town of 16,000 people, mentioned or shared an example of terrorist financing. And what happened is they had an overseas student from a country that was on a list that a bank should be alerted to. That is a non-resident alien that the father was wiring money to this account, and then taking the money out. So large amounts of money, under $10,000, but uh, in theory, supposed to be used for the student. Well, the money was coming in and then circling right back out. The money would then go to a um, a credit union in Florida that then would wire the money to a company in Illinois that, as it turns out, was a shell company. And that company was also on a suspect list, and it was uh, so they concluded it was terrorist financing, and they had to call in and alert the appropriate authorities. So this is no the terrorist financiers, the the criminals, they're getting smart. They're not conducting their activity exclusively in Miami. They know that Miami is on to them. They're conducting this activity in smaller communities. So a couple of takeaways. If you have NRAs, do you classify NRAs as high risk? If so, what information and what activity do you expect from that? Um, how far is far enough? So one of the big questions that we got. How far is far enough when it comes to verification of the information? The answer is you have to define that. You have to first define your risks through the risk assessment, and then you have to define what you believe is that will mitigate the risk based on what you've identified. So that is something that you have to determine internally, set policy, document procedure, and then incorporate through process. Uh, how long do you leave an account open before closing and getting the information? That was another question that we had. 30 days was one answer that one person seemed to have. If the information required does not come in within 30 days, it gets closed. One of the key takeaways that I wanted to make sure that I stressed to everyone is that it doesn't matter, really, it doesn't matter how long but it does matter how long you leave it open. But most important is there's not an incentive, a misincentive where misaligned incentive, I should say, where your frontline people, your salespeople are getting paid a commission on an account opening prior to you actually getting the information and then closing the account on the back end. And then others is what are you doing for commercial lending? And in this group of people, I was very proud to say that no one raised their hand and said that they were 100% ready. It's not true. There's a lot of work that goes into this. Those that say they're 100% compliant and they've already started training, good for you if it's accurate. But this group was pretty honest and said that they have a long way to go. So that's my update. I'll give you an opinion, or an update from the road tomorrow. Thanks for listening.